Joining us now to further discuss this is Bart Marcois, former presidential campaign policy advisor, former career diplomat, and Energy Department official. Bart, thank you for joining us, and good afternoon to you. So it's been 1 year since the assassination attempt during the rally, right, in Butler, Pennsylvania. And the Senate report released yesterday noted a cascade of preventable failures contributed to the assassination attempt. To start off, just give us your initial reactions to that report.
Well, I think the report really gets to the bottom of the problem, and it points out with shock that nobody has been fired. Six people were suspended, were disciplined in some way. We're not really sure as we look at it that those were the right people to punish. One of the persons punished was the sniper who ended up killing the counter sniper who ended up killing the assassin, and he had made some error in planning in the lead up to it. The cascade of failures is such a great phrase. It really describes it. It was a complete systemic failure, and it gave rise to a lot of conspiracy theories at the time. I remember very clearly because people said, "Oh, they had to have done this on purpose. This had to be Biden and his people trying to expose Trump to an assassination attempt." I've been in Washington far longer than I ever thought I would be here. I'm embarrassed to say it's been over 3 decades. And I've learned never to ascribe to conspiracy what could be explained by complete incompetence. And I think that's what we saw. We saw a laziness, a lack of clarity, and a lack of concern for doing their jobs. Have they changed? That remains to be seen.
Okay, so you're saying that nobody has been fired. I'm wondering, what does that mean for, potential future failures when we look at the consequences here and nobody was fired?
I'm wondering the same thing, Don. I look at it and I see that one of the people responsible for that is now the #2 guy on Eric Trump's protective detail. Really? That's who you allow to protect your son? I wouldn't want that guy anywhere near me. And I think that the Trump family and the other protectees are in a bad position because they can't go out and publicly lambaste the people who protect them. They've got to go out and say these guys are wonderful and hope that there's a sense of personal loyalty in the ones that are actually around them. And I don't know. I'm not in the Secret Service. I have friends who are, and I don't want them to say, don't go shooting your mouth off. You don't know what it's like. But it just seems to me that the people who were planning this, I have no beef with the people who were on the protective detail who acted that day. I have a beef with the people who were planning the protection. As a former protectee, not of the Secret Service, but of the diplomatic service and of police forces and of foreign, diplomatic protection services, the first thing I would have looked at would have been that roof. I mean, you look around, and if there's a high point with a straight line of sight to where your principal is going to be, you secure that. And I'm just a schlub. I'm not a shooter. I'm not a sniper. I'm not a professional security guy. But even I know that, and I would have known it in foresight, not just hindsight.
Okay, since we're talking about this, I mean, what do you think? What are your comments on what accountability should we have seen or should we expect from the Secret Service?
I think that the head of the Secret Service, the director of the Secret Service, should have had to testify under oath, not just to Congress, but to a grand jury. I think there should have been a grand jury investigation into it so people know that if they perjure themselves, this is not just a matter of whether or not they lie to Congress. I've seen people in Washington feel like they could lie to Congress with impunity, unfortunately. but before a grand jury, they suddenly get honest. I think there needs to be a grand jury investigation. And if everybody is innocent and there was no wrongdoing, great. Let's put it out there and prove it. But to just move along and shuffle along, uh, several people that were in senior positions, and especially the people that made the assignments and assigned somebody, one of the women who were protecting President Trump, got kind of a bad, um, got taken apart a little bit on social media. She only had 3 years experience. She was never put. She should not have been put in a position. uh, she was not at fault. The person at fault was the person who said, that's the one we're going to put there. That's the one that's going to do the site supervision. That's the one who's going to plan everything. You don't run a protective detail that way.
And there were also people saying that she was much shorter than President Trump. That was,
That's true.
well, yeah, that was another criticism of that person. But you know, the report also says that there was a pattern of denials, mismanagement as well, and missed warning signs. So for you personally, I mean, we all know that the Secret Service is tasked with protecting the president, very important people as well. How concerned are you personally? What is the concern level right now?
My concern level is not as high as it was immediately after Butler and after the attempt at the golf course in Florida. Um, and in defense of that woman, although she was short, when they pushed him down, she stood there. Remember, these are people who shield him with their own bodies. Their job is literally to take a bullet for the president, and they did that, and they did it well, and they did it admirably. And anybody who tried to shoot again after that would have shot her before they shot him. But I do this bureaucratism, this idea of protecting, covering your own backside bureaucratically, and having that take precedence over the future safety of Secret Service protectees. That's got to stop, as you said, at the denials, denying that there was really anything wrong and saying, "Oh, let's just move on. We've got this now." There has to be a more rigid accounting for it. Somebody has to be fired. People have to be moved out of high level jobs and put people in who are willing to not just take a bullet for the president, but do all the hard work beforehand to make sure that sacrifice is not necessary.
Okay, Bart, I'll just ask you one more thing, and it has to do with how President Trump is looking at what happened 1 year ago. So he's saying that perhaps
Yeah.
there's divine intervention. He's saying God saved him for a righteous purpose. Do you think the assassination attempt shifted public feeling towards Trump here in the U.S. and maybe across the globe?
Unquestionably, that I still have a big copy of that photograph that I pull out every once in a while for public occasions and public speeches. To have a president shot at, to have him stand up bleeding, he didn't even know whether he was hurt badly or not. Nobody knew, and he stood up and he said, "Fight, fight, fight." And his thought was, I can't let them see me leave the stage because I have to show them that I'm all right. There are millions of people who are out there, and his thought was not for his personal safety. He didn't run away and scuttle away. He stood up, exposed himself, and he said, "Come on, we are not giving up." That galvanized the country. There's no question that that galvanized the country. But you alluded to something else that I think is far more important than that. When he says he was saved by God, this is not a statement that's driven by polling numbers or focus groups. This is something that he really believes. As in the days after that, and ever since, that feeling, his feeling has been intensifying, that he has been given a second chance at life, and that he can't squander it. He can't fritter it away. There's a change in him between this administration and his first administration, and it's characterized by a fierce dedication to accomplishing a decent, good, solid agenda. And I was just speaking to somebody last week who said, when he says that, he really means it, and his feelings on that are intensifying, and he has become more introspective. And he's not a man who was ever introspective in his life before, but he is now, wondering, why was I spared, and what is my duty because I was spared.
Well, Bart, it's always fascinating to hear your thoughts, your comments on these topics. Thank you so much for your time today.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.